Do you think the 49ers should trade George Kittle? Now, trading him for a pick is very risky because the Niners have whiffed hard on first-round picks. I understand that this team's ready to go, and you traded Buckner for a pick. That's a lot of pressure on Javon Kinlaw. What about trading Kittle for another player as good as Kittle? And just the idea being Kittle's great. Let's take that greatness and put it somewhere else on the roster. What do you think?
No.
Man,
I wouldn't do it. Not
no?
this year. Not
Damn.
this year, and that's
Okay.
because you have an unknown at quarterback about to start. And George Kittle makes life easier for him.
That's true.
And so I wouldn't consider it this year because of that. Because to me, George Kittle, like what makes this situation so good for Trey Lance, for lack of a better word, and what makes it where if like a lot of people like me who, even though I know nothing about Trey Lance, right, because we barely get to see him play, I feel so confident about him because I feel like he's in a situation where it's impossible to fail. He's in an infallible situation. Like the play calling is so good, the weapons are so good. It's really hard for him to fail to me. Like it's just such a good spot for a quarterback to play. And part of the reason why it's such a good spot is because of Kittle. And to me, if you remove Kittle and you replace him, I looked at the tight end free agency. There's nothing really that can even approximate George Kittle in this free agency. I think you lose what makes this offense with the talent to be so special for Trey Lance, right? You lose the fact that
that Kittle's going to play all season and not be hurt. That's the whole thing here, Fish. Like, what if you bring him back and then he misses time? You don't have him. I think we're assuming you're going to have Kittle.
But
had a calf injury week 1.
Here's my thing, though. That assumption be made about any NFL player?
Man, wait a second. You're telling me that George Kittle's injury history the last 2 seasons doesn't have you alarmed? 11 missed games. The injuries that he sustained were both non-contact, both lower leg things. One was a calf Achilles combo, and the other was a straight-up broken foot. That's not alarming to you?
I mean, every injury is alarming to me for sure. Like, I'm not disagreeing. Like Kittle's injury history. Like, I'm not disagreeing that Kittle's injury history is a problem here. But I just wouldn't trade him at this point, knowing that Trey Lance is going to come in at quarterback, and knowing that you're talking about moving the pocket more.
True.
With Trey Lance at quarterback, and a lot of the bootleg action with Kittle in the flat, that's free 12 yards.
It's true. It's true. I guess what I'm saying is I'm concerned. We're in the same consulting firm now. What I'm concerned about here, Vish, is not being able to trade him next year. I know I've said it 3 times. I'm going to repeat myself one more time. If he gets hurt again, if he has another non-contact injury, and even if he plays through it, his value is going to be cemented as 30 on the downside of his career, injury prone, not worth a first, not worth a second. I don't know if he's worth a third at that point. So to me, it's like the discussion with Jimmy after 2019. Should you trade him now? And most Niner fans are like, no, he just went to a Super Bowl. But then 2020 comes, he gets hurt, and it's like, well, we missed our opportunity. You could have had a first here. Now you're hoping to get a third. And now I don't even know what he's worth. So I'm trying to avoid that with Kittle. And I know it's unfathomable that Kittle could be looked at as an albatross, but I think he could if he has another year of injuries.
I'm not saying that line of thinking is crazy at all, because I understand where you're coming from. My point is, I don't really give a damn about 2023 because I want the 49ers to win the Super Bowl in 2022. And to me, like, you got to take that chance with Kittle because, look, the Niners have this window. Okay, here's the thing people don't understand, right? Even if Trey Lance becomes excellent, there's no guarantee the Niners put together a Super Bowl roster around him again. They have a window right now with a Super Bowl caliber roster. The NFL is just too volatile to guarantee that. And so you have that, and now you have a quarterback who you think is going to be the one that gets you over the hump, because that's why you gave 3 first-round picks to go get him, even with having a Super Bowl roster and, going to the NFC Championship game with him contributing very little. Like, to me, if you're from that standpoint, you got to go all in 2022, and you got to do it right here with George Kittle, because the trio of George Kittle, Ayuk, and Debo is the best trio of weapons in the league, right?
Yes, I do agree. I also feel that the team would actually be better if you traded Kittle for, I've been saying this name all week. Let's say Xavier Howard. And I don't know that the Miami Dolphins would agree, but let's say they would. They're paid about the same. You do it after June 1, it's less of a dead cap hit. Let's say 1 for 1, they could do that. Now you trade an all-pro tight end when healthy for a number one cornerback who's missed one game in the last 2 years and intercepted 15 passes. Okay. I would still think you would you wouldn't just hand the starting job to Charlie Warner. You could sign, for example,
the only intriguing name in the market
Hurst.
to me is Uzomah.
You could sign Uzomah. You could sign,
but I think he'll get signed.
I mean, they're not going to be as good as George Kittle.
Signed. Yeah,
but you would have a free agent tight end plus Xavier Howard. I think that's a better team.
So, but here's where the drop off comes off, though, right? Because most offenses really are, you have three really main receiver options.
Yes.
The Niners have nobody really. I know Juwan Jennings played really well, made a lot of tough catches, and he competed. I know you love Ross.
Did you just call Ross Dwelley a nobody? How dare you?
He's not a nobody. I'm not going to be Quincy Avery calling Brandon Cooks a Walmart employee.
If you wonder why I'm trying to trade George Kittle, it's all 40 chests to get my boy more playing time. I hope you guys have figured it out.
But the point is, I think there would be a massive drop off in their pass game because really they would have two viable options. Really, I mean, unless Jennings takes this massive step forward.
Well, I hear you on that. What I'm saying is sign a tight end who's a third option.
That's what I don't think Tunney's a third option, though.
Fair.
Tunney
or you draft a tight end.
Right.
I haven't really dug into the tight end, but I see there's Jeremy Ruckert from Ohio. So there's guys you could take with that second round pick if you wanted a starting tight end. I don't know anything about Jeremy Ruckert.
To be fair, we've learned our lesson from the last couple of drafts that there's no guarantee that second or third rounder is going to come in and contribute. Trey Sermon.
That's why I would say just sign a guy like Hayden Hurst, CJ. Sign a tight end for $8 million a year as opposed to 16. That's what I would do, and then spend the money on the cornerback instead of the tight end. That's what I would do.
Right. But okay, so you sign Hayden Hurst, right? And then your run game is going to slip, right? Because this guy is unbelievable in the run game too. And going to Xavier Howard too. My worry is I think cornerbacks have a very, very short amount, unless they're Darrell Green. They usually have like 6 years. They come in when they're 21. They're the freakiest athletes in the NFL. And by the time they're 28, things start to slow down. They lose a step. We saw it with Revis Island. Revis Island fell off hard. Josh Norman had one season. He got paid. He fell off. We'll see what happens with Ramsey.
Sure.
Pat P fell off. Richard Sherman was kind of able to maintain, but he didn't play a game that was, because that he wasn't. He was special, but it wasn't because he had these he was overwhelmingly, gifted physically. And that's where I look at Xavier Howard at 28 years old. And if we're talking as a long-term bet for the future, I think Xavier Howard's body might break down faster than George Kittle, even though, George Kittle's injury history.
I hear you on that. It's just that George Kittle's body is breaking down. And even in 2019, when he was really good, he played through like 4 injuries. That's the thing that kills me about Kittle. Like his injury history is terrifying to me. And I hear what you just said about Xavier Howard is totally I agree with everything you just said. I do. But Kittle himself terrifies me. I don't even root for this team.
No, and again, his injury history is inarguable, right? The way they paid him
non-contact
in before the season, the way they paid him after 2019, you're hoping George Kittle is, playing 16 games a season, and he's playing 11 games a season. So there's zero.
He's 85% when he plays, 90% when he plays. Still a good blocker, though. I mean, look, Niner fans, Vish is on your side. Vish agrees with you. Don't trade. Vish would say wait a year, and that's fine. My only thing is I'm Jewish. What I do is I worry. Okay, I'm a worrier. We worry, and I'm worried that you might miss that this is the opportunity. There was that the Bill Walsh thing. You trade a guy a year early, not a year late. This is a year early. This is definitely a year early.
I think it's 2
next year would be a year
That's
late.
all I'm saying.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's take some questions. Damn, Grant, I didn't realize how many hated you till you traded Kittle, man. It felt like the Niners web zone form days. They hated me back there 15 years ago. But that's okay. Kittle is the AD of football great players with injuries.
Anthony Davis.
AD.
I don't know if I'd go there.
Grant, you said trade Bosa for the same reasons last year. Okay. Why I was wrong about Bosa? He's still really young. And even if he gets hurt again, he's shown that he can bounce back. I think his trade value is pretty locked in for a while. I'm not so sure about Kittle. That's what I'm saying. Is that fair? Like
no, I don't think it's fair. I don't think it's fair. I'm gonna give you an example exactly why. Do you remember how many injuries Rob Gronkowski had the offseason before he retired with Tom Brady? Do you
No.
remember what the Lions were willing to offer to
No.
trade for Rob Gronkowski?
Tell me. No.
The Lions wanted to remember. The story was that Rob Gronkowski was pissed because the Patriots almost traded him for a first-round pick to the Lions, and it was the year before he retired because he didn't want to play anywhere else. And then he came back to play with Tom Brady. So, and Gronk had double the injuries at that point than what Kittle's had right now. He's a little bit older too.
Okay. Zach says, "Did you guys hear M?" Oh, yeah. Did you hear McDaniels on Rich Eisen take a shot at Kyle about being a coach's son? No. On how Mike got into coaching and beat around the bush on if Trey Lance is really good.
I actually did want to see that interview, by the way. I have that interview pulled up on my phone as one of the things I need to listen to a bit later. I will go listen to that.
Yeah, I'll watch that later. Sorry about that, Zach. We should have hit that up. That Niner guy says, so you trade Kittle, then what? Top tight ends do not grow on trees. Yes, he gets hurt, but that's all tight end. He missed one season with significant time. Stop trading captains. They have a window. Hold on. Is a great tight end less more or less valuable than a great cornerback? I'm just saying. I'm not saying trade Kittle for a pick who's a total unknown. I'm saying just swap greatness to another side of your team because on offense, literally Debo does everything Kittle does for you except block. And if you got to replace Kittle's blocking, you could probably find a way to do that, especially if you had an all-pro corner. Just saying.
Yeah.
A lot of teams that run the ball without George Kittle. And the fact that we're going to go from Jimmy Garoppolo to Trey Lance is what's going to really help the yards per attempt. Just saying. They were 16th in yards per attempt with Kittle out there this year. Mexican gaming.
See, I disagree with that.
Oh, I bet you
I
they're going to average more yards per carry next year. With or without Kittle. With or without Kittle. Because
yards per carry. Yards per attempt. I thought you meant pass attempt.
Oh, no. Yards per carry. I'm talking football. I'm talking running back. Rushing. I'm talking English. Brandon Park, the defense gears up to stop Kittle when Debo isn't in the backfield. He's our second best blocker. Jimmy's bringing down the value of him and Ayuk. Trey unlocks the true potential of this offense. Well, here's the thing. There's no way the Niners are trading George Kittle, so don't worry about it. I'm just being a jerk in it's February. It's not going to happen, right? Is it going to happen?
No.
Absolutely not. Grant, you're a great reporter, but Vish plays better GM than you. That's why he's on the show. That's why I ask him the questions. Move Kittle right tackle. He did say he loves blocking. Makes no sense to trade Kittle as the entire point of a quarterback on a rookie deal is to stack the roster and make a 3-year push to win a Super Bowl. I'm not saying don't.
Yeah, but you're missing his point. You're missing his point. His point isn't trade Kittle for picks and try to rebuild. His point is trade Kittle for another All-Pro player
who's about a little younger, maybe half a year. With Jimmy hospital ball leaving, Kittle should be able to see 30-yard seams instead of 5-yard bulldozer ball. True, but what scares me about Kittle is the non-contact injuries. That's hard to prevent. They need to trade Kittle, save money, and cut Jimmy already. I'm tired of this guy. Get a shutdown cornerback. The one guy who agrees with me. Thank you.